Okay.
I won't reveal my
Right.
secrets. Oh, hello.
Hey.
All right.
Hey folk, and welcome to our talk today. I am joined by 3 other creators and myself, and we're going to give you a little bit of an introduction on how you guys can level up your content. And as you'll know, there's been quite a lot of changes this week in the news, so thankfully that's given me some material. So why don't we start off with a little bit of background about each one of us. So I'll start with myself. My name's RetroKrystal. I was a creator on Mixer for about 2 years. That then died, rip. And then I became a creator on Twitch. So I've been on Twitch just over 2 years as well. And I also dabbled in YouTube for the past 6 months to about a year now. So that's my background in content creation, and I also have a little bit of a background in the games industry as well. I used to be a community manager, so I've also worked with content creators in that aspect as well. So why don't we move on to Captain Jack?
Thank you. Hello, I'm Captain Jack. I'm known for creating Space Engineers videos on YouTube. Been doing that for way too many years at this point. And recently just been expanding into other content creation, like short form content, so TikTok, which everybody spends too much time on. So yeah, that's sort of what I do. Pretty short and sweet.
Nice. What about you, Tommy?
Tommy, one half of TwoAngryGamers TV. We've been Twitch streamers for 9 years or something like that. Done YouTube as well, and do variety content. We'll play anything. All right.
And what about you, Katt?
I'm Katt Strike, and I've been on Twitch for like 8 years, on and off. I am a variety streamer. I do a lot of weird IRLs. That's sort of my thing. And again, I play anything. The typical answer, innit?
Nice. Right, well, let's dive into it.
Definitely.
So, as we already know, a lot of creators, you have to sort of build that personality and brand within your content. So, you know, to ensure value, Tommy, I know you've already deep dived before. Would you like to give the audience a little bit of information about that?
Value, yes. You know, when we talked about doing a panel, I was like, well, we could do a panel about how to properly value yourself and your content, because it's something I see a lot sort of not being done very well amongst my peers. And there's no blame on them. It's just what I call a race to the bottom going on. So there's a lot of people wanting to be the person that's the most attractive prospect for things like sponsorships or stuff like this. You know, they'll do it for, they're reducing the bar down, so the value of your content essentially is lower because of that. So I'm keen to try and teach everyone that access to your community that you've lovingly built over the years is actually a really, really good and valuable thing that you should be costing correctly if you're doing these kind of paid activations. And I just want everyone to be paid well and have a good time, and also just value their own content, because a lot of people are, well, I just stream or I just make videos, but and then they're like, oh, someone's offering me to pay me, I don't know, whatever for this, and they might think that's good, but it's better to do your research and find out what is good. Talk to other creators. I'm always asking people, streamers, YouTubers, to talk to me and ask, and they do. I get DMs, oh, what do you think I should charge for this? And I'm like, well, you know, there's no baseline for it, so it is quite difficult. But I just think, you know, and it's from the other side as well, not the creator side, the people side, your communities. Well, our community, I can only speak on behalf of ours. They know that we do a lot of sponsorships because it's how there's 2 of us as well, right? So it's how we generally make most of our income to do it full time. And they're very responsive to that, and they know that it's not like, oh, we'll add content. Oh, no. You know, for me, doing ad content is great, and they're very responsive to it. I don't know how everyone else feels about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important that, especially for those that, you know, want to make the jump from part-time to full-time. I don't know if any of you guys have done that or, you know, remember your time, but I often get questions myself. Where do you start with sponsorships or paid activations? And more often than not, I'm telling people, just ask. And I know that's hard, because everyone hates the conversation around money, but you do have to do that. It's a job, right? Yeah. And I'll be honest, from experience on my help yourselves, at the end of the day, a company, they're just going to say no. That's the worst thing that can happen, or you get paid.
Yeah.
But I don't know if any of you have any sort of advice or examples or anything that you could give maybe people that are wanting to reach out to companies for paid stuff. I don't know.
I think always it's key, if you're going to reach out to any company, whether it be for a game key or a sponsorship or sample request, research who you're talking to, because you don't want to send an email going, I want this game, and not know anything about it. You've got to use the product and, like Tommy said, provide value to it. You're bringing value as well for your community and content creation. But if you're going to do a sponsorship, you've also got to give value back for as well. Because if you're getting paid for it especially, you want to make sure it's some of the best content you're producing as well. Not just because it's paid, but because that will open up doors to future opportunities as well. Same going like game keys and things like that. If you get a key to an indie game or even a AAA game, there's differences in how the game is, but you definitely want to give them as value to that content, really.
Can I add something as well?
Yeah, go for it.
What you said. I think if you've never had a sponsorship before, you're quite small, go for something you're passionate about. If you are someone who plays Elder Scrolls Online all the time, and Bethesda are one of those companies that will work with smaller creators. They love their community. And I think maybe when you're starting out, find that thing you're passionate about and go for that rather than just spamming everyone. Because I used to work for a game developer and we would get people like hounding us for keys and they were so rude and they wouldn't provide links. So yeah, I think go for something that you're passionate about and as you said, do the research.
I think also one thing there, you mentioned people can be rude asking for links or keys. Yeah. Never ever do that because word of mouth is a big thing in the games community. Community managers speak to each other and Twitter is a thing as we've all seen lately.
Yes.
One bad message. Ooh.
You're on the list then.
Yeah.
I've seen the list. All right.
Yep.
I know they exist. All right.
We've got it.
That's it. Everyone does talk. Like you say, that is a big thing I've learned in the industry. And like I say, panels like this, I've been to panels where community managers, influencer managers, they will drop names in a good sense, and that's what you want to be on. You want to get to that stage. Talking on the links as well, I don't know about you guys, but I always find if you're struggling on where to start, create yourself a media deck. But I know it can be very daunting for some people about media decks, but there's also a thing called a one-pager. I've seen amazing one-pagers where it's just your links, your stats, something you really enjoyed. You don't have to have worked with a company, which I think for really streamers starting out that are reaching to companies, that's a really good thing to do. Just be like, hey, this is what I've done in the past for myself, and it's still an example.
I just thought of something that sorry, I just had another.
Jump in.
Well, there's a company I always wanted to work with, Insert Coin. I always loved their clothing. And there was a tweet that Twitch put out, what is your dream brand you want to work with? And I tagged them, and I tagged someone else, and I got 2 sponsorships from that. And
nice.
now I have a partnership with them. So I think it's always worth, like you said, just putting it out there sometimes, because the worst they can say is no.
The shooting of your shot.
Yeah, exactly.
You might say. I would not say that. But people say it. I don't know why they say it.
It's a saying.
Manifesting.
It's a thing.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's don't ask, don't get, really, isn't it? Which you've basically said. But doing it in a way that is befitting, a normal human being. I will say, physical events like this have always been really, really good for us. Obviously, with what happened over the last few years and COVID and everything, all the events being shut down, I've actually found it quite a bit harder to keep digital relationships going. I've always been someone who's really good at events and making contacts at events, and now it's opening back up. That is something to consider if you're a smaller, bigger, whatever creator. Just introduce yourself. Putting a face to an email or a Twitter account or Instagram or whatever is really, really valuable. Really valuable. You're just much more memorable, unless you're dick or something. But,
well, yeah.
Don't be.
In-person.
Please don't be that.
In-person meetings are always the best as
Yes,
well. Because
100%.
While I was waiting for this panel, I was on LinkedIn going, if anybody fancies a pint, then I'm around. We can talk about games, and stuff like that. That's what events like this provide, really.
Yeah.
I actually, following that, something that a lot of creators I've seen haven't done is that don't do it on the day or the week of the event too. Yeah. As much as it's great to look at most people put out tweets, they're like, hey, like you're saying, I'm having drinks here, I'm free on this day. But a lot of them, they're already booked up by the day, but like I say, events are really good for it. So I often would reach out a week or two before, once I know they're attending, and literally I send a message being like, hey, why don't we go for a drink, a coffee, whatever, and then speak about, whatever it is the company is working on, and that's how then that has led me to not only friends in the industry, but like I say, not a face to a name, which is ironic. I saw a tweet yesterday where a community manager put out, please change your profile photo on Twitter from a car or anime or item or whatever it is you want. Fine, but how are people supposed to see you at events? How can I recognize someone if I don't know what their face looks like when all we see is a gamer tag? And it is very hard to
I made that change I think last year, and I was like, I always use my logo, which is very nice. We're all proud of our logos and brands. So I was like, well, I'm appearing more on camera now. It makes more sense to show, as much as everyone hates having pictures taken of themselves. I was like, no, we'll just show it. Got one good picture, we'll use that one. So
Yeah. I mean, how am I supposed to know Noob Slayer 69XX, right? Like, I'm not going to figure out who they are otherwise. But as we were saying about Twitter and, you know, utilizing other platforms as such, I know, Captain Jack, you have a variety. Sorry, I timed this as you're taking a drink, but I know you have several channels going on. I don't know if you want to tell people a bit more about how you utilize the various channels and
definitely.
the benefit of that.
So I've been on YouTube since 2010, which is 12 years ago now. So I started when I was 11 or 12, to drop how old I am. But I started Captain Jack, and that did Space Engineers content creation. If anybody knows that game, well done if you do, which is like Space Minecraft. After that, I evolved into doing Star Trek content, as we set up Trek Central. That, I think, is very close to hitting 100K subscribers, like next week, hopefully, if we follow the statistics. And we've been setting up different channels since to sort of broaden horizons and add more variety to the content we produce, because as we all know, games can be volatile. What is the big thing now will not be the big thing next week or even next year. So therefore, separating out to create different content, but also creating different forms of content. If we rewind 10 years ago when I started, live streaming wasn't a thing. Twitch was still Justin TV at that point, I think. And like we were still making YouTube videos on our own dedicated channel pages. So it's all evolved. Nowadays, we've got YouTube Shorts, TikToks, Instagram Reels, and clips. So expanding content creation and taking your content and making it more versatile will allow you to see more viewers at the end of the day. And that's something we always seek to do. To build onto that as well, I expect many in the crowd might stream on Twitch or other live streaming platforms. Discoverability is a big thing that builds into sort of like variety content and sort of like making your content more versatile. Because just streaming or just content creation on one platform, unfortunately nowadays, won't get you very far unless you are the next big person, which not many of us are, unfortunately. So you need to be creating shorts and stuff like that, or different versions of the content. If you're just live streaming, make YouTube videos, compile your best moments. If you've got a funny moment where you and a mate blow your car up or a spaceship or whatever, clip it, stick it on Twitter, on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, because people retweet that and then they go, actually, I want to watch this streamer. And that's how I discover most of the streamers I watch these days, is I'm scrolling through TikTok and go, they seem pretty cool. I'll go on Twitch and watch them. So yeah, that's...
Yeah, I think especially after this week, we've seen how big of a change diversifying your content across a variety of platforms. And like you say with clips, I always say to a lot of people, a clip is essentially a thing called a short form content. And that's something that nowadays is where you capture your audience within 10 seconds. They can be 30 seconds long, but people don't care about that anymore. They want those first 10 seconds. But a clip, you've got to put it on and going live. Chuck it as a reel. That's for Instagram. You've got TikTok. You've got YouTube Shorts. So 3 platforms with what? A 30-second clip that all you do on the Xbox is click your home button, the Y button, there's your clip. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit more to that. You've got your marketing, your description, your titles, but the fact that, you know, there in itself, you have a variety. I don't know about all you guys. I've just realized we've mixed 2 of our topics here, but do you have anything a little bit more regards?
I learned the hard way about trying to be better with doing clips and short form content. Do you know a game Grounded?
Yes.
Yeah, so
it's just gone into full release.
Full release, but it came out in alpha. We were playing it, you know, on Switch. We basically just do Twitch and a bit of YouTube, but really now trying to sort of expand out a bit. A little clip went viral. It'd be great if I had it, but I don't. A little clip of me went viral, like in a spider cave, attacking a little spider, sort of going, take that, turn around, giant tarantula, like, and I just scream. And it's just a silly little clip, and I thought, that's quite funny.
Yeah.
So I chuck it on Twitter. And then suddenly we see people linking me on Discord, oh, it's this one on TikTok. Oh, have you seen this YouTube short? Have you seen this other one? And the clip across, I tried to calculate it, but the clip was copied so many times across all these short form platforms, it got billions of views. I'm talking billions.
Nice. Wow.
And I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I couldn't notice that.
You know, all we could do is go, as long as people put in the description, that's TwoAngryGamers, I'm happy with that, but I don't actually mind people using it. Some people are different. I don't mind as long as they're credited, or if it's someone just using it, passing it off as their own content, that's not okay, of course. So now that was like 2 years ago or something, and then I realized, okay, we really need to sort of get on top of this short form content, especially on stuff like TikTok, which I'm trying. It's hard to keep with the times. We're full-time streamers, right? And then we try and designate a few afternoons, or like an afternoon or a day a week to do other stuff, and that's what I'd recommend. If you're if you want to do something full-time, be it YouTube or streaming or whatever, you do need to designate some time to to building your other little, like you said, just having the same clip can go across 3 different short form platforms, that's fine.
Yeah, and they'll perform differently on each one as
Yeah.
well, because I've had stuff go on Reels, Shorts, and TikTok, and it's done really well on Shorts, but no one cared on TikTok. Or like, it's done really well on Reels. And I think, like, yeah, it's good to put them out. There's a tool, actually, that I've started using called Combo.
I use that.
Yeah, it's
really
free.
good.
It's great. I would recommend it to everyone. You can literally, you link your Twitch account, and after every stream, it will have all the clips that people have done, and then you can edit it in Combo and upload it straight to TikTok from Combo.
Oh,
and
mate,
it's
I'm
just
gonna
like
use
bang, bang, bang. It can't do like advanced editing, but you can add text. It does auto subtitle generation.
Sometimes you don't need that though.
Yeah,
The clip itself, like the clip I'm talking about, there was no extra editing. It was just a clip of, and that was it. And it was funny enough to work, because I'm so funny. It was great to just work on its own. So you don't necessarily need loads of fancy editing on these clips. I mean, great if you were into that.
Yeah.
But, if something's... Also, I think sometimes it's good to... Like, ones that have been made by the community are good because you know that someone's made that and it's got, I don't know, maybe it's got 50 or 100 views on your Twitch clips or YouTube clips, and you're like, okay, that's actually, quite good. If it's something you've made and you're not sure, maybe share it with the Discord community and be like, is this a good clip? I don't know. Sometimes I see clips, I'm like, I don't know if that was worth it, man. But that's just me being harsh. But, like, it's good to get use a soundboard, and even if you've only got a small community, even better really, because they're going to be more dedicated and give you better feedback if that's what you're into anyway. If that's what you want to hear.
I run it past my husband because I
There you go.
can't tell if it's funny or not, and I'm like, is this funny? And then if he does a real laugh, I'll be like, it's funny. And if he goes, haha, I'll be like, okay, I'm not funny.
That's a good test, to be honest.
Yeah,
Just,
that's a good test. But let's dive a little bit deeper into the various forms as well, because as we were saying about editing, something that I found as well is that you can spend hours on a clip and it'll be dead, like get a couple of views, and then you can chuck something up, 20 seconds, thousands or hundreds, and you're like, why? I didn't do anything with this. But I think as well, something that I personally found hard, because I have a full-time job and then I content create on top, is that finding time to do this. And I think, like I was saying, being able to edit one thing, utilize it across many things, but especially spending, as you said, Tommy, finding yourself a set time. Don't be afraid to just take, even if it's just 1 hour, to go, right, I'm putting my head down, focusing, making some clips of either the end of the week, the beginning of the week, whatever suits you, and making sure that you do put in the time. It's hard, but sometimes it does pay back. And I think in this day and age, as we're moving to both long and short form across a variety of platforms, I think creators do need to do that. Like I say, I'm trying with TikTok myself, but it's not going well. I can't.
I need to take my own advice.
It's trying to do it every day. I'm saying this, and I can't even do it.
That's
every day.
We know we're meant to be doing it. Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
And it's definitely work. I mean, you can see it working every day. Like,
I've seen people grow Twitch followings just off posting on TikTok.
Yes.
And, like, I've got a friend who's done it, and like they post like content and just go follow my Twitch. We're playing Minecraft, and like just hundreds of people go there immediately. And like we've seen influencers blow up from just using TikTok to channel like hundreds of thousands of viewers into one Twitch stream.
Yeah.
And suddenly it blows up, and you've got a new career on your hands. The power of it is immense.
I was about to say, like, lost my train of thought, but yeah, with that, like I say, there is a variety of also editing software out there. Don't be afraid to just look at what free things. We just mentioned Combo. I use that too. That's really good. You don't have to go full-blown Adobe. I know if you're wanting thumbnails and stuff, there's one that's called Photopea, which is just like, it's a cheap Photoshop on your browser. So you can just nip on, edit a thumbnail every, when you've got 5 minutes free. I don't know if any of you guys have got any advice regarding, like, maybe software or things that creators utilize?
Not software, but depending on the size of your community and how much control you're willing to relinquish. Personally, for us in the last few years, I've been trying to be better at not being so controlling over everything. And there's so many talented people in our community, and I'm sure in many people's communities, small and big. They'll sometimes just post stuff and go, I've made you this video, I've made you this, whatever, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Do you want to do that on my channel or whatever? And obviously pay them as well. Like, I always advocate for paying people that are doing work for you, but it's not like you need a full-time editor and pay them a salary. You can discuss that obviously your own terms with someone if they're a fan or they're a community member who wants to help out. It's worth asking, because there probably will be people who want to help you and we want to see you succeed, especially if they've been watching you for so long. So it can be useful to do that, especially if you're just struggling with having so much to do. Worth talking about. Use them. Squeeze them dry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. So moving on, does any of you potentially have any advice for creators that are wanting to either become a content creator, or if they want to not necessarily move, but maybe add more platforms to, to diverse the content? Is there any sort of maybe mistakes you made that you might want to be like, look, this is what happened to me, potentially avoid that? Or, we all have experiences, and it's different for every creator as well.
I always think if you're going to create content, you need to consume content as well. So whether it be on your chosen specific games, obviously mine is Space Engineers, for example, but if you're playing like Call of Duty, watch other creators. See what they're doing. If you can do something different, evolve the style, move on from there. Like, you can learn from your peers, essentially. And there's no harm in watching someone else's content and go, do you know, I could do that, but I'll do it differently or something like that. Obviously, people's ideas, but you can learn from those around you. And like, we've got so many content creators across so many fantastic games, platforms, many things. Like, ideas are infinite at this point in time, really. Like, you can create something out there. So learn from others, what I'd say.
Katt, I know were you going to add to that? Or?
I was, but it's gone.
It's all good.
Sorry.
I think it was probably something that sounds really cheesy, but it's...
Believe in yourself.
Well,
Others will too.
basically, it's you are the only
There
you.
we
Be the best you
That's
can
it.
be. And when I have ADHD, and I used to hide it. I didn't want people seeing my ADHD-ness. And there was one day it just clicked in my head, like, nah, just be the most ADHD you can be and see what happens. So I'd neck a coffee before a stream and just be like really hyper and like all over the place.
Do you love a good cuppa, to be honest?
And like just the weirdest ideas I have, I just do them. And I used to be really scared. Like I told you about the Shrek, I did a Shrek hot tub stream in my swamp and I got really drunk. Because I couldn't do it sober.
That sounds like the best Friday night.
That does,
to
actually,
be
yeah.
honest.
People still talk to me about it. Like that was the one. And that just changed things for me. It just was like, actually, I need to be my weirdo self. And I think it's really important to remember that views do not reflect quality. It is so hard to get views on Twitch. That's why we have to go off platform. And you could get a raid from someone and then get really good retention. That can just show you your worth. And and also, sorry, I'm going around a bit, but don't give up. I've given up a load, and I would have been way bigger than I am now if I just kept going.
Likewise. Yeah, like giving up, because you never know. If you're making videos and like you're getting 5, 10 views and you think, you know, what's the point? You don't know, because that next video or stream or short, whatever, that could blow up you, and you could be sat here one day talking about stuff as well. So anything's possible.
No, I agree with that. I always say you need the bad videos to make the good videos look great.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, I do agree with that.
Statistically, you make like YouTube videos, like you make a ton of bad ones before the algorithm, and we hate saying algorithms, before it actually recognizes you're making content and people are actually watching it.
Yeah.
So like you've got to make like a ton of stuff. And also making those bad videos, if we look back at all our bad videos and old ones, we'd go, why did I ever make that? Like, what was I thinking? But you learn from that, whether it be in editing or content creation, you learn.
Yeah. Right, so we are coming up to the final few minutes. So what I do want to do is see if anyone does have a question for either myself or any of the panel here. If you do have a question, all I ask is that you do go to the mic in the center, get as close as you can as possible, and let us know. But I don't know if anyone has questions.
Someone ask us how to get subscribers.
You can ask anything you like.
Anything.
There are no limits. Oh, look at them.
Everyone's
They
a bit
can't
shy.
wait. Look.
Oh, there we go.
Oh my God.
Highlighted.
Yeah,
That's
what's
spotlight.
your
Be brave
favourite
and
boy
ask.
bands?
Yes.
What's the worst sponsorship you've done? What's the best?
Ooh, what's the worst or
We can
best?
talk still. I think there's going back to the value point as well, like you said about doing crazy stuff. That's great. I think you should always do all those crazy ideas. But you don't always need to be doing that. You don't need to be
don't do it
chasing.
every
Oh, no. Mate, well, I think you should.
Shrek 24/7.
I was thinking, like a lot of people sort of go out of their way when they're new, especially new to content creation. Like, I'm going to try to do the most USP thing ever, or I'm going to do the craziest things constantly.
Yeah.
The value in your content is you. So just remember that. And yeah, you might have some great ideas, crazy ideas, and please do follow through them. I mean, we've made a 700 egg omelette once in the winter.
How big
in the
it
snow.
Was this like a giant omelet?
Yes, it was massive in a giant custom pan that one of our subscribers sent to us.
Nice.
He's a metallurgist. I don't know the word.
I was about to say, is this from IKEA?
No, he made it, and we made it 700, and that was just a sub goal, you know, at the time.
Okay.
And it was, you know, that's something like I said, everyone talks about.
Oh, that's the
I
point.
remember that, you know.
Have you done anything wacky? Like, has your subscribers
question, I
ever
think.
made any? Oh, we got a question.
Oh.
Let's go straight there. Sorry, I was on a roll.
Quick, line up.
Sorry. I basically just wanted to ask, in general, what would you say is the best way to like network with people, like the do's and the don'ts? You know, to try and get your name out there a bit more and speak to some of the people that, you know, are higher up in the games industry.
Cool. So the question was about networking and the best way to go about it. So I know myself, this sounds really silly, but just reach out and speak. And the reason I say that is it's surprising how many people don't actually reach out to community managers, influencer managers, companies. You would expect, don't get me wrong, they do get hundreds of DMs and messages. But if you go out there and you go, I would say potentially DM them if the DMs are open on, let's say, Twitter. Or usually sometimes they will put out a tweet near a game launch and they'll be like, hi, we're looking for creators. Something I always say is remember your email. I'm sure you will all agree here. Please put your email in your bio, or else there will be some bio gremlin after you. Please put it in your bio, because at the end of the day, if they can't contact you, they just won't. They don't have time to go looking. You want to make their job as easier as for yours, so I'd say reach out. Give your email, give your links. So that could be like your Twitch channel, your YouTube channel, maybe a social platform, so like Twitter or Instagram, depending on obviously what you want to show. And then also if you have, like I was saying earlier, a media deck or a one-pager, make sure to attach that too. That's why they're good, because it's just one piece of information, one spot, and you can just send that out to everyone. I was going to say, I often will email, be like, hey, person, I'm interested in your game. I also give examples, so if I've played a previous game, like if it's a sequel that I'm wanting to cover, I'll be like, hey, I did this is my video on it, or my VOD. And then I also say I'm happy to take it to emails, because sometimes people will prefer it in emails too, so obviously everyone's a little different. But that's how often, that's what I do personally. But yeah, literally just reach out, because a lot of people don't, or as we were saying earlier, they just go, give me code. Yeah. And it's like, no.
Also, you're at an event. You're at like the perfect place, like the indie game zone. There's like the left field zone. Often the developers are there. They're often so friendly, and you can just give them your details or get their Twitter off them and then message them and follow up. And parties, industry parties, if you are a Twitch streamer, there's Twitch London happens. That's a great event to go to. It's like one of the best ways to meet loads of other creators and community, and I'd recommend it.
Yeah, for me, networking at physical events is usually the best way to be remembered. I've done lots of blind emails with intros and say, oh, we've covered this, we like this. Because we're variety though, I do a lot of blind emails. If you're specifically interested in one specific game or genre or something that's here or not here, or you know the community manager, it's great. They want to hear from you, right? Community managers, as far as I know. So, if you can get a word with them, if you see them on the show floor and just say, oh, hi, physical presence is great. I know it can be very difficult for people. I know it's easy to just go and walk up and speak to someone, right? There's a lot of nerves there and but sometimes you've just got to pull yourself together and give it a go. But if not, like you say, blind emails are fine, really. If you don't get a reply, you don't get a reply. But all you can do is try. Engage with content that you like from whatever you're looking to get involved with the best you can, and just have a crack.
Yeah. Thank you. Hope we answered that.
I don't know. I came in really late, so I don't know if you've asked this question or not. But what's your advice to start running and doing all this? What would you say is the best advice to do to start doing all of it?
Start doing it all.
Yeah.
Do you have a PC set up?
Well, I'm getting one for my birthday, because I want to start doing stuff like that. So I want to know advice. So that's to start.
I've got a thing on that. I actually started streaming, sat on the floor, using my Xbox, because you could stream direct from the Xbox.
That's how I started on PlayStation.
Yeah, using the Kinect as a webcam, because I couldn't buy a webcam at the time, and I played Slime Rancher because it was free on Games with Gold, and they were doing a Games with Gold weekend, and that is how I started streaming. So I know a lot of people more often will be like, you need a giant. I mean, I do now have a PC setup, but don't be afraid to just start with whatever you've got as well. I think the hardest thing is just starting. I actually, honestly, if I say the hardest thing in my content career, it is literally going live and starting and having to build from the beginning. I always say that is the hardest point. I don't know if any of you guys have advice for starting up as a creator?
There is so much advice and tutorials that you can now get online. Obviously, we could go through all the steps of setting up streaming software, whatever. But obviously, there are loads of YouTube videos that will tell you how to do this. Depending on what your setup is, PC, console, that kind of stuff. And like Krystal said, you don't need lots and lots of fancy stuff. And I think that's actually a mistake a lot of people who are new to trying making content make. They're like, I've got to get the best camera, the best lights, the best everything. That's not true. You are the content, all right?
Yeah.
So, just that's what you got to start with. The only other advice I'd give to people starting is try and be regular. I can only really talk about live streaming because that's my main thing. So the only thing I always say is just, if you can, try and make it a regular slot. Like if it's once a week, twice a week, but just do it at the same time. Because I have a good friend called Shanna. She did a TED talk on this. Brilliant if you watch it. Shanna Nina, TED talk on YouTube. She talks about starting streaming and streaming at the same time each week, doing League of Legends. She gets one viewer, right? But then that viewer, you chat to them, and then the next week she's got two, but one of the same viewers come back. And that seems, obviously that's very low, but that's fine. That's how it starts. That's how everyone starts, right? But if you do it at a regular time, humans are creatures of habit, so we will learn, even subconsciously. Oh, that girl I saw stream, that was a fun stream. I wonder if that's on again, and you'll check. So, that's not to say you can't have a haphazard schedule if your life is such, but I do think having a regular slot where you go live or release a video even is useful.
I also, there's something you touched on, and it just disappeared. Oh, what was it?
I don't know.
I think it was the 1 to 2 viewer.
Talk to your chat. Even if you have one person in there, but that's how I started with 0 viewers, and I gave up because I was like, oh, no one will watch me, this is depressing. And then I started again, and I had like one person come in, and I was just like, you all right, mate? How's it going?
Yeah,
and he
sit
stayed.
down.
Yeah, sit down, stay here, don't leave. And then another one, and then another one. And you can get your friends to watch you as well to just boost your numbers.
I used to put it on my mobile because there was a time when affiliations, I don't know if it's still the same, but was like 3 viewers. I used to ask my parents to put it on their PC, and then I would get it on my mobile. And at the time, I don't think it works anymore, but it did used to be an additional viewer.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. And it works.
Yeah, I think you're right. Talking to people, even if you don't think anyone's there, just talking about what you're doing, what you're playing. I see so many streamers with, I don't know, I hate saying low viewer counts. It's not, but starting out who are just sat there because no one's in the chat, they're not saying anything. So you're like, well, then nothing to watch here.
Sometimes if you say hello to them, they just ignore you.
Yeah.
And then I leave because I'm willing. I want to watch those smaller streamers.
Yeah.
But if they don't talk to me, there's not much value for me there because they're not saying much anyway.
Off of that as well, like value content, it's key. Like as you said, value content. It's really key to like value.
Yeah, I don't know if
Mike has gone.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Valuing the community.
Yeah, valuing the community, valuing your content. All about value. I'm about the word value today.
Value.
But no, loads of materials online. Start a basic stream setup if that's what you want to do, and just try and do something regular if it's fitting around your schedule. That's it, really.
Yeah. Also, to add on that, play something you enjoy because it makes it 10 times easier. The amount of times, I don't know about you, where I'd go onto a creator and you can tell they're not necessarily playing a game they want to, and they just feel it's the hype game.
Yeah.
And you get as well, I've tried it before where I've thrown on a game because I was like, right, everyone's played it, let's see what this is about. And I've not enjoyed it. I then find myself being quite quiet, and as you guys say, you want someone to be chatty. I mean, I've been there, I've been like, oh, that's a nice tree. And is that the most exciting thing to say? No. But it gets you chatting. And then someone's like, wait, what's in that tree? And then there you go. And I've had once a conversation about an orange that went on for half an hour, not sure why, but it did. And that's it, and it creates, chat, and like you say, people start to talk back. So yeah, hope that's answered everything you want.
Thank you.
Comprehensive.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Is there a reason why people don't simulcast a lot? Like, why is it that people stick to specifically Twitch or specifically YouTube as opposed to streaming on both at the same time?
So regarding, the question was regarding streaming on different platforms. I think there's quite a variety of answers. I don't know about you guys, but I would say it could be either time, especially when people, as we're back to the other question, starting out, a lot of people start part-time, they'll have, jobs and other things, family, life, they might touch grass, because apparently that's what people do. And, and they might only have time for one platform. There is also things like exclusivity of certain platforms. Now, this might have changed. I might need you guys to jump in on this, but I know there's certain platforms
Yeah.
that creators can have contracts where they might be allowed to do both, they might not. I think, and I'm an affiliate on Twitch, and I think on behalf of that, you can't stream on both platforms at the same time, but you can do it different days.
Yeah.
Which is what
It's
I've
a
done
24
before.
hours thing for affiliates and partners, so that might be one reason. But they recently changed it now that you can do the short form, like Twitter and TikTok. You can simulcast to them if you want, and I think we will see more people doing that. Obviously, recently we saw Mr. Ninja that came back and said, "I'm going to do everything now without any kind of." He's platform agnostic.
Yeah.
Which I think we're going to see more of because there's so many platforms now that work so well, and especially I mean, it's a tricky one, but. Usually, I think the reason traditionally is that people they sort of have platform loyalty just through years of building up their community on one platform, or they just like that platform, so they're like, well, that's the one I want to build on. But now, that's the eggs basket type thing, right? So I think we will see more people actually moving into this simulcasting thing. I might even do it. But it's difficult because you're like, there's stuff. There's a lot more to think about then. So, do I read all of the chats? Am I just going to stick to my Twitch one, my YouTube one? It's a lot of work. But that's another reason, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do think
what do you do about the chats? Because that's actually one reason I haven't done it. Because I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to when. And is it weird for the YouTube viewers if I'm talking to the Twitch, or how do you?
I don't know.
Like a wall of monitors.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's just Twitch, really. But I mean, I guess for the shorter form content ones, they don't expect to be replied to. I don't know why I think that, but maybe that I don't know. It's just kind of like, because I feel like they're just watching. Oh, watch for 5 minutes, goes away, kind of thing. Whereas more people spend more time on YouTube and Twitch. That could be complete nonsense. I just don't know, Jack. All right, but there will be more simulcasting, I'm sure. But traditionally, I think it's just come from a state of platform loyalty. But now there's so many, I think it's just,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
No worries.
Thank you.
Hello,
Mike.
I am 31, and I find it difficult to kind of find a balance between, a full-time job and managing growth and trying to stay engaged with all these kind of platforms and making short-form content. Do you guys have any advice for people who, aren't, young anymore and maybe have a lot less time, maybe with children or whatever, to kind of keep growing your content and keep growing your audience?
Can we just talk, like you just said 31 was not young there?
Mate, I'm a year younger than you.
But have any of you guys got any advice regarding?
It's hard. I used to work and stream, but I've got a chronic illness, and I struggle to just stream and do that. But what I've found is carving out time for the streams. So I've had to take a hit on my social life because I can't stream in the evening and go out, and I had to decide sort of what was more important. And I guess finding those gaps in your schedule, you could just do like 3 days a week for a couple of hours and just start getting into the rhythm. With content, I used to make it at work. I know that's so bad, but I used to do content creation.
I do stuff
for my
lunch
job.
breaks. Literally, that's literally what I have to do, and it's hard.
I used to do it, but by using tools like Combo, it's so quick that you could do it on the train home from work, or you can answer those emails, or you could plan your next stream sort of in between your job. I don't know if this is a very good answer. I don't know.
It's like that work-life balance.
It's like work-life balance, right? Which is something that everyone struggles with across pretty much every industry ever. But I think what we mentioned previously, having a schedule, somewhere regular that you're like, oh, this is the time that I do a stream or make content or whatever you want to do, without sacrificing your own family or as much social life as you can not sacrifice as possible, because I do really think it's important for streamers, YouTubers alike to. I really hate this grind mindset. I've always been against it. I'm very vocal that you still need your own life. So for our stream, for example, we do Monday to Friday. We don't do Saturdays, and we do every other Sunday kind of thing. Trying to keep it more actually like a job, but that's full time. So if you've got a full time job, and then you kind of have to do it on the weekends and evenings, or at least just don't try and burn yourself out going, I'm going to do 5 evenings a week, or do all of my Saturday, all of my Sunday. Just designate whatever time you think makes sense, without driving you mad.
Yeah.
But try to keep it regular. That's the only thing I would I can say, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole social life hasn't disappeared. I just realised I can't go out on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night anymore.
Hey, I had a baby 18 months ago, so that's all gone. But it's good. It's good gone.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You know, that's another thing. I'm like, okay, but with us specifically, there is 2 of us running our stream, so that is a slightly unique scenario where we can get away with more. But that's why I said earlier about having other people surround you who, if they can help and want to help, let them help.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I was about to say, I have a full-time job in the games industry, and then on the weekends and the evenings, I stream and make videos and do, I don't know why I do so much, but yeah, I do find it quite hard, but I think it's important to, back to the schedule point that we had earlier, creating a schedule that you know will be okay, like in conjunction with your job or your life or your family, but also just trying to keep about it, but also don't, something I found hard, and I think you guys might be able to add to this, were I felt guilty for taking time off.
Oh yeah.
Because as streamers, it's not a way, or creators, sorry, I should say, it's not a way where we get holidays that, you know, we can just book a day off. That eats into our creation time. And I found that very hard, and it took me a while to accept that, and I feel a lot of creators get like that as well. So do not be afraid to be like, you know what, I deserve this day off. I have worked my ass off and streamed or created videos or done X, Y, and Z for, like, you know, whatever time frame you've done it for. You deserve that day, that week. Heck, take a month off. Admittedly, I think the one worry that a lot of us have is, will my community return, or will they come back? But honestly, they will.
They will. Like, that was something I was terrified of, because I took 3 months off because I had to have an operation. I was burnt out, and I was like, I don't know if I can do Twitch anymore. And then I realized, I was thinking about it, no matter what time I stream, I have a really crazy schedule. It's non-existent. My viewers are always there. They're always supporting me. They're such lovely people. Like, I did a meetup, and a load of them came, and there's, I don't know, there's something about that feels really special to me.
Yes.
And I feel like I don't want to let them down, and I can't remember what the original point was, I'm sorry.
It's about the work-life balance, but I do want to put a disclaimer, because my community are going to be watching this, and they keep telling me to take a break, and I'm here going, take that break, and I have not done that, so I'm just as bad as my worst enemy, right? But that's it. I think it is important to be very strict with yourself. There was a point where I had a very big burnout and a bit of a breakdown a couple of months ago, and I actively said to my community, I need to change things, because I got to a point where I was so sort of addicted to content creation in some way, because I always had this belief that if I'm going to play games, I'll stream them. If someone turns up, great. If they don't, I'm still going to play the game anyway.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I was streaming every day, and you forget how much energy it takes to just be like, yeah, let's go, and be talking constantly, that I burnt out, and I then had a massive reschedule everything, and I went from doing like every day to having a few evenings off, and it's made things so much better. So don't be afraid to take a step back and reevaluate.
I remembered what my point was. I came back after 3 months, and they all came back. Aww. And everyone tells you it's career suicide, like you can't take a month off. Like loads of my friends are like grinder streamers, like they just grind at it, and yeah, they're terrified of it. But if your community cares about you, they will come back, and they do, because they're invested in you, right? In your brand.
If you're doing it as a full-time job, treat it as a full-time job with hours befitting a full-time job. That's all I'll say. We've always done that. I've always done that, and that's where people get burnt out, because they don't do that, and they're like, I've got to be always on doing stuff. If I'm playing a game, I've got to be streaming it. It's a big mistake. That's the first mistake I think a lot of new people make. I've never done that, because I don't know, maybe I'm just like, sorry, it's my full-time job and I'm having my weekend off. I don't know what do I say that.
Following that, have you ever got to a point as a full-time streamer where you've been enjoying a game, great stream, great, everything's going well, you're proper hyped about it too, it's a game you love. Have you ever streamed like longer just because it's been going well, but then have seen like maybe a retaliation of that, or you've sort of been like, right, today was a long stream, so I can cut tomorrow a bit short, or have you been dead, let's say 9 till 5? Whatever your hours are?
I mean, for us, we've done we've done stuff like that. If we've been enjoying it, or if we've had a big raid or something, sometimes you feel like, oh, well, but also at the same point, well, for me as well, because life is now very much, in the way, not in the way, but like full on at the moment. I want to go see my daughter as soon as I can. So I will stop the stream. It doesn't really matter what happens. Like, you've got to try and, like you said, be strict with yourself on stuff sometimes. If you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it though. If you haven't got like a huge amount of dependence and mad stuff going on in your life, and you can donate that much time, and you want to, then good. But also make time for yourself. I think we've covered that.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thanks, guys. We're gonna wrap up now, but last but not least, where can we find you? Give us a sort of Twitch, Twitter, your name, your gamer tag. Go.
Katt Strike, Katt Strike on everything. TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, yeah, YouTube.
Tommy, go.
Tommy.
TwoAngryGamers TV, YouTube and Twitch, and at TwoAngryGamers Twitter. Lovely.
Jack, go. Oh no.
I'll talk for it.
YouTube.com/CaptainJack.
Shout it.
YouTube.com/CaptainJack. Subscribe today.
Like and subscribe. And I'm RetroKrystal, so you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'm attempting TikTok, but I wouldn't go there. But thank you for everyone for joining us for today, and thanks everyone for being on the panel as well. Appreciate it.
Great.
You got last thing.
I was just going to say, if anyone has any questions or wants to come up after and have a chat, I'm happy to do that. I don't know.
Yes, I think all of us will be here at the bottom if you've got any last minute questions, or like I say, feel free to reach out to us or find us at the expo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.